Welcome to Talking Tech Journeys, hosted by me, Ben Whiteley of BPM Tech. We're delighted to bring you season 1 of Talking Tech Journeys. The aim is clear, to bring you some of the most engaging and respected figures within tech and transformation, providing a snapshot of their journeys to share knowledge, ideas and insights on all things tech and transformation. Sit back, relax and enjoy the journey. Welcome to Talking Tech Journeys, Season 1. I'm Ben Whiteley and delighted to be joined by Peter Storer, Interim Director of IT Delivery at Sciensus and MD of Green Giant Consulting. Looking forward to this and in terms of a quick intro, a pragmatic and experienced C-suite director with a wealth of experience delivering software development, IT infrastructure, business change and customer service projects. So looking forward to delving a bit deeper in terms of all that, Peter.
Yeah, it's certainly a long and checkered history, shall we say.
Good. Well, looking forward to it. So, look, let's jump straight into it. It'd be great for just a quick summary, a brief introduction, background of yourself, your tech journey and who you are, really.
Okay. So I've been in IT for technically 41 years this year. So man and boy, I sort of started out really sort of at the very, very edge of sort of tech. So when I was at school, just as when I was at school, basically, I was in mid-tier and, I haven't done your typical journey. So I was mid-tier at school and my careers advisor at school, who was also the PE teacher, said to me, I said, look, I want to go into IT. And he said to me, you'll never do that because, you're in a mid-tier, you need to go to university. So I thought, okay, right, I'll show you. And then in 1983, I went on a youth opportunities program at that time, which is a year-long course in computing and office practice, which involved two 3-month elements of work experience in computer organizations, in tech organizations. And from there, I got 2 jobs out of it at the end of the year. So that was the start of my journey.
Perfect. So, obviously back in the 80s and like you say, your career's advisor was sort of trying to push you down one path. How was it sort of getting into, the IT sector in the 80s? And I suppose then sort of coming on to, you just touched on it there, the sort of youth program. And obviously, then sort of first job. How did that sort of all come together?
Well, I was lucky enough to be involved in this program run by Thorn EMI, which was a big electronics sort of giant at the time. And they wanted to take people who straight from school, so I was 16, 17, and give them and train them in office practice, so the way an office works, but also in technology. And I remember the tech we were using on this course was, when you look at it now, is phenomenal. It was sort of big clunky kit, but it gave me an excellent insight. As I say, I was fortunate to get 2 3-month work placements. One, a company called CSS Limited, Computer Systems and Sciences, I think it was, Limited, and also another one called Par Computers. So I started off in those areas as a computer operator. So in my day when I started, it was punch cards, it was reel-to-reel tapes. So my job was to load in a program that was about 100 odd plus cards into the system and then sort of load all those. So start off as a computer operator, which got me in onto that first ladder within IT.
Brilliant. So obviously lots of lessons learned then. From the beginning, was there a sort of career plan, objective, goal, journey for yourself?
Yeah, as I said, at school, I always wanted to go into computers, whatever that looked like at the time, sort of into that world, and being told, that wasn't the case. I still wanted to, that gave me motivation to go and see how I could do it. So I mean, in the 80s, technology was obviously on the rise. There was lots of investment, and it was something I wanted to be part of. So I made sure I did.
Yeah, good. Were there any sort of key moments, sort of, in terms of your learning and experience, any sort of mentors, doubts,
Yeah,
mistakes,
yeah.
challenges to draw upon?
I mean, I was very fortunate. Say, I was offered 2 jobs, and in one of those, as a computer operator, so essentially work shifts. And
Yeah.
during this downtime on those shifts, I taught myself how to develop using at the time the digital what's called Diebol, which is like a version of COBOL.
Yeah.
And I had some very good people who were mentoring me and helping me along that journey. And to this day, we're still friends.
Right.
When we
Great.
see each other. So the person that helped me along that journey, and for me, I've been very fortunate to have people who I can call upon, who've helped me on journeys throughout my career. But certainly, this person still sticks in my mind as the person that got me really onto that next stage and beyond.
Yeah, good. And like a lot of people, obviously, you start out in a technical role, and obviously we'll sort of come on to the next sort of couple of decades of your career. But it's seen you sort of work in sort of various sectors, industries. You software provider,
Yeah,
consultancies, healthcare, retail, utilities, you name
yeah.
it, really. I mean, it'd be great just to fast forward, a bit in the journey, and understand, obviously, that it's great that we know the making and foundations of yourself, but how did that really set you on your career journey, Peter?
It set me on the journey by igniting that passion for it. So again, going through a very plotted history, I went through all the ranks. I was a developer, then went on to an analyst. Then I went from an analyst into business analysis, so more of a business change. Then moved on to project management, program management. So for me, my career path was taking steps, not timelined, but steps to get me to where I am today. And it allowed me to work with some excellent large organizations.
Yeah.
In the past I worked with Boots, I worked with Unilever, Birdseye, so which is part of Unilever, Princess Foods. So each one of those sectors has brought me and given me the experience I can use now.
So obviously, like you touched on, you've covered, various roles at various levels. Would you sort of suggest and recommend that to people today, in terms of, sort of keeping an eye on, like say, that the project management, the analysis, through to the more technical roles, keeping the that sort of transition quite fluid?
Yeah, I think as you develop into a sort of senior management role, and up to sort of C-suite level, what it gives you is an appreciation of what's possible. You lose as you move up the ranks. You don't lose what you've learned, obviously, but things move on. But it gives you an appreciation of what can and can't be achieved. And having worked for both software providers as well as end users, I suppose in some ways it's like poacher turned gamekeeper.
Absolutely.
Is that when you engage with software providers, particularly in the role I'm doing now, it allows me to probably ask deeper questions than because I know how they work and I know some of the challenges around that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I know, like say, you've worked various roles within those companies. Was there any sort of piece of advice over that time from anybody that's really stuck with you, or anything that you're really proud of over that time?
Yeah, I mean, you take away something from everywhere, I think.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I think one of the projects that sticks in my mind, and it's an interesting one because I worked at a company called the Nottingham Group as a analyst developer, and I took a career break, and went to run a pub for a few months, and then came back working in the warehouse where I've been designing the system. So I was, you know, as an analyst, you design a system, you'd implement it, people start using it.
Yeah.
But for me, and one of those key things was, you know, it was a big warehouse providing educational supplies. And to cut a long story short, the project that I'm most proud of to date is that I reduced the stock count from 2 weeks to 2 days. So the systems and processes I built reduced that time down, and that still sticks with me now. But going back to the point I was trying to make is that I saw it from the side of the user, not from the developer.
Yeah.
And I was going, oh, if I'm using it, I would have looked at it or designed it a different way. So again, I've got that perspective from a user, which was invaluable experience working, you know, in a warehouse while I found my next IT role.
So sort of life experience helps shape, you know, who you are as well as.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you think about, you know, from any technology, from be a patient or a customer or whatever, you know, patient in the health world.
Yeah, sure.
Is that you've got to think, is it easy for them to use? You know, and what challenges would they have if they were using it? So you see it from a very different lens.
Yeah, which I know, obviously, you know, you've done a lot of health work for various healthcare companies, which we'll sort of come on to you know, a bit further in the discussion. So
sure,
I think obviously the next step from there was, we mentioned it briefly at the beginning, was the Green Giant Consulting. So how did this sort of come about?
So having worked in the corporate world with large organizations from straight out of school, you know, in the first jobs, what I wanted to do was start my own business, working with SMEs, bringing some of those corporate controls, governance, and values to the SME market. So those that's on the tipping point of growth, that they need some more governance and control around that. So I wanted to sort of create an agency that a consultancy that's not wasn't competing with any of the big PwCs, because that was another reason, is that, you know, I've worked with these big organizations like PwC, Ernst Young, and all of these, and felt that they were just made this massive, it just made what they delivered too big for the normal sort of working business. So I wanted to sort of bring a different view for SMEs to not only look at the strategy and the plan, but because the big agencies tend to walk away at that point, but then work with the client to deliver. And my model was a fractional model. So what that meant is that you work with a client 2, 3, 4, 5 days a month. So you allocate a pot of time to then work with them to not only develop the strategy, but help them drive and deliver.
Still really very relevant today. I mean, you know, the fractional contract resource is, you know, like you say, that there's been a lot of spin-offs and people who have sort of looked to, you know, master their own destiny in terms of the world of consulting. And like I say, that pulling from your sort of wealth of experience, can see the sort of benefits to businesses. I mean, just in terms of obviously the sort of services that you provided, I mean, just give us a bit of an insight into that.
Yeah, sure. So there's a number of services really, but it's all around identifying a plan of action and then delivering it. And this is the difference really, is that, you know, you become part of the team, you work with them, but it's a much cheaper cost model, for want of a better phrase. You know, a lot of organizations don't need a full-time CTO or IT director, but they need help with strategy and around technology, because technology is moving, particularly now, AI is big. You hear the words digital transformation, and people are scared of what does that mean. And I work with them and explain it in plain English.
Yeah.
It's making the best of technology, but it's not just about technology. It's about your people, processes, then technology. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so I mean, do you think your sort of style and services has sort of changed over time, and sort of does that depend on the end client to an extent, Peter?
It depends on the end client, what they
Mm,
want. But essentially, my role isn't really just about the tech. It's working with them to look at the processes, because technology isn't always a silver bullet to fix a
mm,
problem. It can
mhm.
actually make it worse. So,
Yeah,
you have to take it to the highest level, and look at the strategy. Where's the strategy? Where do they want to be in 2, 3, 5 years' time? Look at the organization structure, look at the processes, look at the data that is needed, and then we look at the right technology to meet those needs.
yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. Like it's a mix and blend of, like, say, the high level strategic, and then getting everything, your strategy, your people management, project
yeah,
program management, like, say, analytical,
yeah,
and then the tech to all fall in line.
yeah. As I say, tech's an enabler in
Mm,
any situation. It's not the be all and end all, because
yeah.
if you've got a bad process, put it
Mm,
into automation is still a bad process. So,
yeah. Yeah. It's getting those pieces of the jigsaw to fit, which is often
yes.
very simple in process, but
Mm.
lots of moving parts and challenges to overcome, no doubt.
It is, and with a fractional model, you can bring experiences from other organisations and implement what's appropriate for them
Mm,
from the experience. Not everybody's experience will, sort of make a difference in another organisation, but fundamentally,
yeah.
below the waterline, a business is a business, and it tends
Mm,
to flow. There's just some slight differences in offerings, etc.
yeah. So I know obviously that's still sort of something that you're involved with, but I suppose in the past sort of 10 years or so, it's been more sort of healthcare, specifically, pharma logistics, health tech, data reporting,
Yeah.
analytics.
Mm.
There's a lot involved with that. I mean, just over the sort of last 10 years or so, and what sort of changes and challenges have you seen within the sort of health tech, pharma logistics sort of sector and industry, Peter?
Yeah, well, the health tech industry's lagged behind for a long,
Mm,
long time. And we've now got elements of technology like AI, which has come along, that can help improve, those repetitive processes. It can
mhm.
help, sort of automate those flows
Yeah.
through. It can look at data and look at trends in data. And a good example, experience that I've been having is it can be used to look for keywords in emails, in
Mm,
interactions with patients, to say, actually, this looks like it might be an adverse event. So
yeah.
it's putting some intelligence into excuse me, into the way companies interact with patients, and trying to pull out something that maybe a human
Yeah.
might miss. And it's
Yeah.
a
I mean,
constant
there's been a
learning
lot.
journey as well.
Yeah. There's been a lot of examples in the press recently, and no doubt, that there's some skepticism and challenges around AI. I mean, how do you think that would sort of a business should be sort of managing? There's a lot of potential risks, but also, the reward side as well. So fine line
Yeah,
to balance.
I mean, there is this feeling that AI, is going to take over the world, and we've all seen Terminator movies.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, all it is using, and let's be honest, is looking at data, and analyzing and putting elements of data together.
Mm,
So as long as the data that it's using and processing is correct and is constantly maintained, then there's no reason to fear it. more reason to use it.
Yeah.
We've seen the stories where someone's trained ChatGPT or one of the
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
functions to give out false information. But yeah, of course you can. You can do that with anything. Data
Yeah,
at the end of
sure.
the day has to be right. And if you've got control of your data, then there shouldn't be an issue with it, really. So there shouldn't be a fear around it. I think it's something that people need to embrace. Not,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to embrace it to a point where we take the human element out of it. I think it
Yeah.
needs to be
Yeah.
working alongside of the human.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't think it'll ever, fully replace, but support and like you said, there's lots of other key things which we do a lot of work in health tech. People are talking about obviously patient care and the data and even the sort of cloud sort of migrations and integrations. So I know that's something that you've had some exposure with. So any
Yeah.
thoughts or insights in that world?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about digital transformation, and I keep going on about this, is that fundamentally there's two things you've got to look at. Is if you just want to, what I call lift and shift, take your old systems and move it into the cloud,
Sure.
why? What's the point? It should be an opportunity to review the process you have in place to then look at how you can utilize the technology that's out the box to change it for the better, because it's been designed for a reason in that way, but also gives you an opportunity to review the data you've got and question why you've got that, and what use or value does it bring. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't bring value, don't bring it over as part of your transformation.
Yeah.
Digital transformation gives companies an opportunity to refresh and redo and understand their business and the
Yeah.
foundational data more effectively.
So I suppose you've just touched on sort of like key issues with systems technology. I mean, obviously from your experience in terms of managing challenges, establishing, defining, refining integration and migration of systems and platforms, anything in terms of, sort of key insights or any thoughts and that you can share with people who are sort of going through that transformation as we speak?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going through it, then most of the time we see the same sort of challenges going. It's data, it's processes, and people wanting exactly what they had before, but in a different format. And it needs to be, you need to have a different mindset. You need to have an open mindset in transformation, and don't just have a like for like replacement. That's not what it's about. Digital transformation isn't just about the technology, it's about the processes, the people.
Yeah.
Have you got
Yeah.
the right people on board?
Yeah.
Using the right processes that's accessing the right data. So and I was sort of reading an article today actually, and it was very true that digital transformation shouldn't be run by IT. It should be business driven, not an
Yeah.
IT. So because it's business transformation, not digital
Yeah. Yeah.
transformation.
Well, I was just going to touch on that, and obviously from your sort of consultancy, with your consultancy hat on, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously stripping out the politics and the culture, from a sort of business strategy, people perspective, do you feel that somebody who's coming in, who's been there, done it, like say, maybe isn't ingrained in the politics and the culture from a sort
Yeah.
of fresh perspective, do you foresee that as a sort of key sort of value to businesses, Peter?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Ben, is that, what I bring into an organization is a fresh perspective. I haven't got, like, I'm not involved in any politics, which is
No.
great. I'm not involved in the people challenges. It's about what is best for the organization and putting the right and appropriate, and I use this word a lot, appropriate changes in place for that business. It's not just about like the big consultancies do have a sheet of services they offer, and then they bolt it together, and that's what you get. It's tailoring for what they need. So, but bringing in experience from might be the same sector, but even from other sectors, you know, and bringing the learnings and know what works and what doesn't work to those organisations, to then allow them to grow. And one of the big things that I don't do is have big bang change. We make small incremental change, review it, and then tweak it, and then you know, move forward.
Yeah. And I know we've been speaking for some time. You've got a bit of a passion for sort of, you know, the post-digital transformation and optimization. So, I mean,
yeah,
why do you think that's important?
Because digital transformation isn't a one hit. It's not a you start it here, you end here at you know, at a certain point. It should be an ongoing review and optimization program, continuous improvement, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Because when you move, and you start using the new systems, let's say you've moved to sort of full cloud, Microsoft services or AWS or whatever, you learn a lot from that, and it needs to be tweaked, because where you thought you might need a level of storage and compute, it might not be sufficient now. But I mean, you should be planning for scalability anyway, but you might have hit that limit very quickly, and you need to understand why. So you need to tweak that. Is, you know, again, going back to, are we doing more data than we need? Can we cut back on data? Can we archive data off? So it's a continuous journey and plan to make sure that you're utilizing the, you know, the end of that transformation to its best capabilities, and changing capabilities. That's the other thing as well.
Evolving.
Because if you are using software as a service like Microsoft D365 it's constantly evolving, and Microsoft are constantly changing it. So you might be able to utilize the new functionality that, you know, that's in there.
And that's it. Like I say, things are always evolving, not just the technology, but the business needs, wants, requirements, and demands.
Yeah, and the business needs change once they know and start to use technology and, well, people, process and technology in a different way. So this is really, you're learning from that, and actually you think, oh, can we do this? Yes, you can now. Let's look at how we do that. Move on to the next stage. I mean, the big things, as we talked about, is AI, you know, live chatbots. These are the big things at the moment. You know, omni-channel experience for me is a big thing, particularly if you've got an end consumer or customer or patient, is making sure that any channel that they come through gives them the same experience.
Which could probably be challenging, you know, in terms of the various touch points which a patient will you know, oversee throughout the journey.
Yeah. I mean, there's various touch points throughout their journey. You know, interaction with people, agents, frontline agents. If there's, you know, if they want to speak to someone, they might email in. They speak to clinicians or consultants. You know, but they all need to have the same feeling and interaction, and know that they get the same experience.
Brilliant. Well, look, many thanks for your time there, Peter. It's obviously been great talking and taking you back. So lots of great takeaways and very insightful as ever. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, Ben, for the opportunity.
And yeah, to the listeners, obviously it'd be great to hear your views and opinions on the changes that we've discussed across the healthcare industry over the past 10 years. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed Talking Tech Journeys, and we'll catch you next time. Good company and colleagues in a career make the journey more rewarding. If you did enjoy, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favourite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more listeners like you. Don't forget to follow and join the Talking Tech Journeys, the podcast group on LinkedIn, where you can join in debate and message us directly if you'd like to be considered as a guest. have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can also email ben.whiteley@bpmtech.co.uk. Until next time, enjoy your journey.